spend my time staring out the window at a girl in the middle of it all. I don't know her name, but her face remains the same. I blame myself for not going that way.
Hi, I'm Al Bangert, and this is Gee, I Always Wanted to Do That, another episode. You've probably seen several episodes already. We are now on Grove Street at the McCormick residence, and Mike Davis, veteran interviewer and Scituate resident forever, is going to be interviewing Kathy McCormick, who has participated for many years now in the Scituate Garden Club's involvement in Art in Bloom at the Museum of Fine Art. She's going to talk with Mike, and we'll hear more about raising flowers and maybe some vegetables. And I see Mike coming right now. Hey Mike, how are you?
Hi Al.
Hello.
Hello.
Come
Mike
on.
Davis for Scituate Community Television.
Come on in, Mike, and take a look.
You must be Kathy.
I am Kathy.
Oh,
So
good.
thanks so much for letting us come into your home today. And I noticed there's some interesting items here on the table. This is very interesting. Is it a flower?
It is part of a flower arrangement, all right.
I was missing the bud part of it.
The most important part about a flower arrangement is not the flowers. It's actually the container and then also the lines. And so when you're starting a flower arrangement, you actually start with a container. And Art in Bloom is all about the container. When we get our assignment, we all go gasp, because we're like, what am I going to do with this? And then we all say, home goods.
There you go. There you go.
Because that's where we often find unusual containers. And
Usually one of a kind.
one of a
As
kind.
I remember.
Yeah, and actually this container is 2 consignment pieces and 3 mirrors from the bathroom section of
Lowe's or Home Depot or something?
Home Depot, yeah.
Okay.
And I took out the mirrors and I put them together, and then my co-designer, who's Cindy McEachran, her husband took the circles and cut them into 3 pieces. And then I played with this until I got what I wanted. My Art in Bloom piece was actually a Art Deco piece that Eleanor Roosevelt had given to Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and it was designed by Victor Schreckengost, I believe his name was.
Okay.
And it's all ceramic. So, and on that bowl, it was full of life. It shows New York City at New Year's Eve. So there is skyscrapers, there's stars, there's lots of things going on in the bowl. There's lights. And I was trying to get all that energy into my work, so that is Art in Bloom. So you start with your container, then you add your lines, and then last of all are the flowers. And in this particular piece, I was looking for Art Deco flowers, which I felt were appropriate. So Cindy McEachran and my co-designer had thought, aha, let's use something like this, which is some wonderful orchids. Our design, however, had turquoise in it. So turquoise is not a color in nature. So I could look outside in my garden and couldn't find anything. Plus the museum kind of frowns on your using your garden things. They like to have everything come out of the market so that they know that there's no bugs or anything, you know, there might be moss or something on that could ruin their precious. And we are told more than once that this is very important and that we're working with precious art. So anyway, then that's the last piece is when you start to add the flowers. So often people think a flower arrangement starts with a flower,
As I did, yeah.
when indeed that's the end of your flower arrangement, because this can stand on its own. I can put any flowers in it, and I can put, you know, flowers that have been wilted and add to it. So that is that, and then I use some calla lilies.
And this is? Yeah.
That is my final Art in Bloom piece.
There it is.
Yeah.
And you got an award for that?
I got a note. I got a thank you note
Okay.
from the museum. And also, it was really personal. It wasn't just, they had liked my container, and in Art and Bloom, they have a group of women that go around and they speak about your arrangement. So they ask if there's anything unusual about it. So I said certainly, having the container was unusual, that I had to kind of put it together. And that what we were trying to do was, give that energy that my piece had. So
Good. Excellent.
yeah. All right.
Well, why don't we move on outside?
Oh, I'd love to do that. It's such a lovely day.
It is. It is. Okay,
Too
let's do
lovely
that.
to be in the house.
So tell me, we're out in your yard now. It's beautiful out here. We've got a gorgeous day to complement all of these flowers and plants. But how does somebody get into something like this? How did you get into it?
I was always interested in, gardening, but I on a very amateur, like, okay, I'll buy something at the store, and didn't really know what I was doing. And I knew someone, Polly Pine, who was in the garden club, and I said to her one day, oh, I think I'd like to join the garden club. And she laughed and she said, oh, okay, well, then I was invited into the garden club.
Which is what you have to be. You have to be invited in.
Into our garden club. So many garden clubs are open, but we have a limited membership, and because of that, it's kind of an invite thing. But there are hundreds of garden clubs within Massachusetts.
Are there others in Scituate that you're aware of?
Is not, no.
Okay.
And I was asked to be in some flower shows, and so and then one of the women.
Is a flower show more of flowers versus design, as you showed us earlier? Is it?
It's both.
Okay.
Because a flower show has both design and horticulture. It also has an education too.
So you don't need to get into this. You can get into it at whatever level you would want to get into it. You don't need to do. You don't need to be judged.
No.
You can do it as just a hobby. You can do it as, I wouldn't call it simple, but you could do it as much as you've done it in a yard.
Yes.
You can do it with other folks. You can combine it with surely a vegetable garden.
Mm-hmm.
You can have vegetable garden and a flower garden together. And I notice in the rest of your yard you've got some pretty big trees here.
We do.
So shade. There's some plants obviously that like to be shaded, and some that like to be in the sun.
And you learn all of that.
Uh-huh. So there is
and
a lot
also
to
you
learn.
learn by doing. And I think gardeners are very positive people. If it doesn't work, you try again.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one question that comes to mind, around town there are little islands that are managed and cared for by people in town. Do you happen to have an island?
I
have had an island?
I've had an island, and I do the area by the monument, the 350th monument in front of the town hall.
Okay.
And again, because that's a difficult area, I try to keep it really simple. But there's a whole group of people within town that are the Adopt-A-Lot people. They are taking their time and effort to maintain a piece of Scituate. It's usually an open piece of property.
Right.
That they maintain. As far as the garden club, we also maintain within the town. We maintain at the Mann House the wildflower garden. Mm-hmm. We maintain at the Cudworth House a herb garden. So certainly, if you're someone that loves herbs, you can get into herbs within the garden. The garden at the Mann House is over an acre. It's gotten big over the last. That is, I think, 30 years old this year. During June. Garden club members go into the 3rd grade and give a speech about taking care of our wonderful world, and then they get a trip to the wildflower garden if it's all in the budget to bring buses down to the wildflower garden. So, and then they have a little hunt that they love, having a hunt where they check off all the things that have that we find within.
Well, I'm
there.
sure a lot of our viewers would be interested. So I think without further ado, we probably can thank you for what we've done here today and what we've seen. If anybody wants more information, I suppose if you wanted to have your own little garden, you could probably go on the internet or join one of the local flower clubs. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Wow, that's another episode of, gee, I always wanted to do that. That was really great to hear Mike and Kathy talking about her involvement going back years and her current level of interest and willingness to work with others, her role in working on town flower plots through the Beautification Commission, the role that that committee plays in terms of keeping Scituate looking nice. Very interesting episode. If you want to know more about Gee, I Always Want to Do That, or importantly, if you have an idea of someone we should talk to, just contact us through email. The studio's email address is sctv@scituatema.gov. That's sctv@scituatema.gov. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Have a nice day.
What if I came your way on this particular day? Well, I want to know you. Will you let me know you? Let me take this chance to say, let's go, let's go, let's go right now. Well, it don't matter where or how. Things like this that just can't wait. Let's go, let's go, let's go right now. I feel like need like getting around. Things like this that just can't wait. Her hair's tied back, she might be good, but she might be bad. Well, she might just be that girl I never had. Let's take a shot, cause it's all we really got. In this life you never know how things will go. What if I came your way on this particular day? Well, I want to know you. Will you let me know you? Let me take this chance to say, let's go, let's go, let's go right now. Well, it don't matter where